right now at 5. A fatal accident on I-44 claims the life of one person.
And we've got ourselves a hot day starting today. We're going to talk about the alert days we have for heat and the thunderstorm chances we have coming in tonight.
And the Alliance of Southwest Missouri hopes that surveillance images help authorities identify a person who not only vandalized their building, but stole from it as well.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So we have alert days this week for the dangerous heat. We also have the threat for severe weather as we head into tonight. So we got a lot to talk about. So let's start with our alert days. We have full-on alert days out for tomorrow and for Thursday for that dangerous heat with temperatures in the lower 100s. We also have a possible alert day for us on Friday with those dangerous temperatures. We're looking at another day possibly of dangerous heat. So let's take a look at our records. So here's what we're expecting in terms of the highs. We're looking at 102 tomorrow, so we could tie our record from 2012. We're forecasted 107 this Thursday, and that would beat the record of 103 in 1953. And we're looking at possibly reaching 104 on Friday, which would beat the record of 100 back in 2011. And it's not just the heat. We now have an elevated severe threat across the area. You can see this orange. Now, yesterday we had the low end, the slight risk here, that kind of cut off right about here. And now that's been significantly expanded, and this elevated area has been added in as well for overnight tonight. So let's take a look at what those risks look like. So as you can see, for Elk, Chautauqua County, there's a very, very small portion of that with a low-end tornado risk. There's an elevated hail risk for parts of southeast Kansas, lower-end risk for the rest of us, but the biggest concern with these storms is going to be strong, damaging winds overnight tonight, and we're talking right around and after midnight. So we have the enhanced area here highlighted in red, an elevated area highlighted in yellow, and then that lower-end risk in the brown. But you see those hash marks, we haven't seen those in a while. That is the possibility of significant damaging winds. So the red and the yellow are indicating wind gusts to 70 miles an hour possible. That hatched area indicates we could see wind gusts 80 or greater with some of these thunderstorms tonight. And as we take a look at the future track, you'll also notice they move very quickly, which is why we have that concern for damaging winds. Now today, we have the possibility of an isolated shower, maybe a rumble of thunder out there. Most of us are going to stay dry. We'll be partly cloudy through today. And then as we get to midnight tonight, here comes that batch of strong to severe thunderstorms. Now, I want you to watch where it goes in just 1 hour, from midnight to 1 a.m. Look at it race across. And here's the other thing. This is forecasting that possible bow echo on the front, which would indicate the threat for those strong, damaging wind gusts out there by about 1 o'clock as it continues to race east. And by 3 a.m., it's out of here. So we've got a lot going on. We've got the dangerous heat. We've got the strong severe thunderstorms tonight. We'll have another full look at your forecast and talk more about the temperatures and if there's any relief on the way here in a few more minutes. Tanya?
Right, thanks, Chris. An early Monday morning fire causes extensive damage to a church in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Authorities received reports of the fire around 2:45 a.m. on Monday morning at the St. James Episcopal Church on Prospect Avenue in Baxter Springs. No injuries were reported and none of the firefighters were injured. The cause of the fire is under investigation. A fire near a school in Exeter, Missouri will be releasing heavy smoke for a while. That's the message from firefighters in Berry County yesterday morning. Authorities were alerted to the fire around 4 a.m. Monday morning. They say a 200-foot-long stack of railroad ties was burning. The fire had been reduced and contained, but authorities say it will continue to burn for some time. Well, a fatal crash creates further difficulties in the area of the Interstate 44 bridge repair. The crash involved 5 vehicles, including 3 tractor-trailers on eastbound Interstate 44 approaching exit 18. That's the area where traffic has been slowed since an accident nearly 2 weeks ago damaged an interstate bridge. Missouri Highway Patrol says one person was killed in the crash. Happened around 5:35 Monday afternoon. Traffic was halted as both eastbound lanes were closed last night. Even before Monday's crash, the Missouri Highway Patrol had said motorists should be prepared for additional delays and detours in that area as repair work continues on the bridge in the coming days. Well, some traffic changes are coming to a widely used bridge in southwest Missouri. The Missouri Department of Transportation announced there will be changing lane reductions and delays on the I-44 and I-49 bridge at exit 18 in Fidelity. It'll be for bridge repair work. The work is needed because the bridge was damaged by a crane back on June 13th. On I-44, eastbound traffic will be reduced to one lane until the repairs are completed. Westbound traffic may experience occasional lane closures as well. On I-49, Missouri Route 59, no traffic will be allowed under the I-44 bridge while crews are working. Now, the northbound Route 59 traffic will be diverted to eastbound I-44. Southbound I-49 traffic will be diverted to westbound I-44. Repairs will go from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. It's expected to finish August 18th. You can find additional detours on the KOAM News app. Arraignment is scheduled for a rape suspect in Jasper County, Missouri. Prosecutors charged Brock Powell of Carterville with second-degree rape. Authorities arrested him on June 16th. Powell has since posted bail. Carterville Police Department says the crime happened April 21st. They say he allegedly raped a female victim, and court documents show witnesses corroborated the victim's accusations of rape. City of Miami, Oklahoma says there have been multiple incidents of vandalism in its parks, and they say playground equipment, including slides and tubes at the Splash Pad Park, has been intentionally damaged by someone removing bolts, as you can see in this picture. An official says the bolts were removed from the upper parts of the pirate ship structure. They believe the goal of the vandal seems to be causing maximum harm. They say the vandals are also apparently taking the bolts with them. Well, the Alliance of Southwest Missouri hopes surveillance images help police identify the person who vandalized and stole from its Joplin building over the weekend. A staff member discovered the damage, which included a broken window and water pipe, human feces on the carpet, and thefts of a TV monitor, food, and beverages. The mission of the Alliance is to improve the health and safety of area children and families.
When you're in this line of work and you're trying to fight for kids and families, there is an opposition that comes for you. And whether the beings themselves realize what's happening or not, they're almost, I don't want to call them pawns in the game, but you know what I mean. They're going to make decisions, and it just makes our work a lot harder.
The mission of the Alliance is to improve the health and safety of area children and families, like I just said. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Joplin Eagles host its 5th 7-on-7 football event. Plus, a new museum is about to open its doors. What's this museum for? A history of African Americans. And the CDC puts out a warning for the first time in 20 years about malaria. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Well, we're still a couple of months away from high school football season kicking off in the 4 states, but we're inching closer every day. One sign of that being several high school football teams on the same field today over at Joplin High School, competing in the 5th annual 4 states 7-on-7 tournament. Joplin, Pittsburgh, Neosho, Glendale, Mount Vernon, and Seneca are the schools participating. Now, things got started at 2 and didn't finish up until the championship at 8:30. It's the 5th time that Joplin has hosted this event, and Eagles head coach Curtis Jasper says he's grateful for every team that made the trip to Joplin.
It's great. These coaches that are here, I have a lot of respect for, and we have a good time, and their kids understand that we're here to get better. They're here to get better, and yeah, we want to compete, and someone's going to leave here today with a trophy and shirts that say champions on the back, but ultimately it's about, their kids and our kids all getting better and having a good time.
The wait is just as long before college football starts its season, but there's a light at the end of that tunnel as well. Yesterday morning, Missouri Southern announced the release of its complete 2023 football regular season schedule. The Lions have 11 regular season games, 6 of them at home and 5 on the road. Every game features an MIAA opponent. A few contests that stick out. They begin the year with 2 Thursday evening games at home to open the season on August 31st against Northwest Missouri, then at Washburn the next week. Homecoming on October 7th against Fort Hays State. Then, of course, a big rivalry game on October 14th when the Lions host Pittsburgh State. Over to baseball now. Joplin Outlaws are as hot as the weather here in the 4 states recently. Joplin's won 5 of its last 6 contests, which is the first time all summer that the Nevada Griffins make a trip to Joe Becker Stadium. Outlaws and Griffins had a beautiful game last night for some baseball at Joe Becker. Pitchers duel early on. Missouri Southern Steen Lane gets the strikeout for Joplin. And then Jackson Burns does the same for Nevada. So we are scoreless until the bottom of the second when Will Kelly slaps a line drive into left with 2 men on. First runner safe, second runner gets thrown out at the plate. That'd be important. We're going to go ahead to the top of the 4th now. Sacrifice bunt with runners on first and second. Lane slips on the throw to first, gets away, and a runner scores. Same inning, bases loaded. Ball takes a crazy bounce, and everyone safely moves up a base. We're going to stay in the top of the 4th. An RBI single by Jacob Strobel into right field. Griffins go for 6 in the inning. That's all they end up needing. The final score there, 6-3. Rounding things out, the MIAA, the home conference of Missouri Southern and Pitt State, announces a new member. Arkansas Fort Smith will join the conference beginning in the 2024-2025 academic year. The Lions, out of Arkansas Fort Smith, were members of the Lone Star Conference before the switch and have been part of Division II athletics since 2009. They'll be the first full-time members of the MIAA from the state of Arkansas. This addition will keep the conference at 14 member schools, with Lincoln University leaving at the same time Fort Smith joins. Well, still to come, a team of researchers discover an ancient Mayan city. We get another check of that dangerously hot forecast and those strong thunderstorms tonight when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News 517 on this Tuesday morning here in the 4 states. And we've got some severe weather to talk about. We got alert days to talk about. Let's talk first about the severe threat. This is for overnight tonight. We have that low end risk highlighted here in yellow that's been expanded since yesterday, and they've added this elevated risk here that does include a good portion of our southern counties here in the 4 states. So let's take a look at that on a local level. Here, barely visible is a very low-end tornado risk for parts of Elk and Chautauqua counties. It's a very low risk out there. We do have the elevated risk for hail for parts of southeast Kansas, and then we've got the enhanced and elevated risk for damaging winds, and that is our biggest threat with these storms tonight. And you see these hatch marks here. We haven't seen those that much this year, but those indicate the possibility of significant damaging winds. So this yellow and red zone indicating we could see 70-mile-an-hour plus wind gusts, and that hatched area, which encompasses those same zones, indicates the possibility of wind gusts in excess of 80 miles an hour. So let's go down the road. Now today we still have that possibility of a stray shower, maybe a pop-up storm, but as you can see, most of us are going to remain dry. It's going to be partly cloudy otherwise. And then we go into tonight, and we'll have that complex of thunderstorms that's going to roll through between about midnight and 2 a.m. And then by 3, it is out of here, and you can see where our rain chances will increase. We've got some possible this evening, but better chances as we head into the overnight hours. Right now, 7th and Range Line, getting a little more daylight out there. We're at 60 in Joplin, so again, pretty cool compared to where we're about to be. Dew point is 57, humidity is up there at 90%. A little chilly up to the north, 58 in Nevada, Iola, 59 in Fort Scott, 62 Chautauqua, Miami, and 61 in Neosho, Carthage, and Pittsburgh. We get our day started. Again, there could be that isolated stray shower or pop-up storm. We're going mid-80s by late morning. Highs today, mid-90s out there, so already getting pretty hot. And we'll go partly cloudy to mostly clear as we head through the afternoon, so make sure you're taking precautions today. Our UV index down by only 1 from yesterday. It's still at a 10, which is very high. Your burn time is 20 minutes or less, so do remember to take these precautions if you are outdoors. We head into our evening. Now, ahead of the storms tonight, our evening looks great, but hot. Look at this, 91 at 8, 80 by 10, overnight lows, upper 70s. We'll have those thunderstorm chances as we head into the overnight hours. We got our alert days for tomorrow and Thursday, a possible alert day for Friday as temperatures climb into the low, maybe even mid-100s out there. Got some evening showers possible Friday, maybe some thunderstorms Saturday. A little cooler Sunday, 90, 92 Monday with some additional pop-up storm chances. Well, the International African American Museum was privately dedicated in downtown Charleston. Dedication began at 10 a.m. on Saturday with a watch party in Marion Square and a celebration that followed also taking place. The watch party was presented by Boeing and also featured a live simulcast of the dedication. Dedication was a celebration of African American culture and history as the building prepares to fully open to the public.
Culture and history were on display at the International African American Museum's dedication. Former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama joined in with a video message before the museum opens to the public.
It's a powerful museum, one that every American can learn something from. And that's why we're so proud to help you celebrate today. Because this museum isn't just meaningful for people in Charleston. It's an important part of our collective history.
Museum leaders say their mission is to share the untold stories of African American history, all from the same spot where around 100,000 Africans were dropped off and enslaved.
We are here to place that African American story in its full context from 300 BCE to 2023 and counting.
Former Charleston Mayor Joe Riley has been working on bringing the museum to life for over 20 years. He was inspired from reading Edward Ball's book, Slaves in the Family, and says it was time to share the country's true history.
Truth sets us free, free to understand, free to respect, and free to appreciate the full spectrum of our shared history.
U.S. Representative Jim Clyburn was also instrumental in the museum's creation, admitting he was reserved when talks first started. Now, he says it will teach these important stories.
Resistance to enslavement, triumphs over Jim Crow, and significant contributions to the greatness of this country.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. How should culture be preserved? Should it be in a museum, by participating in cultural traditions, cultural events, spending time with those in a cultural community, by learning about it? Some of those things, all of those things, or maybe something else. Got a lot of options there. We want to hear from you. Make sure you take time to vote through our website, through the app, and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We will return with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, researchers suggest a new experimental weight loss pill could offer results that rival currently approved injectable therapies. 272 patients with an average starting body weight of about 240 pounds tested the medication. Researchers found the pill helped patients on its highest dose lose an average of 15% of their body weight after 36 weeks in a mid-stage trial. One researcher noted the weight loss did not appear to plateau, but said the drug is being tested for longer to assess its full efficacy. The United States is seeing its first cases of malaria contracted here in 20 years. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued a warning to doctors and public health officials on Monday. 4 cases have turned up in Florida, and 1 person in Texas contracted the disease there. The cases do not appear linked to each other. CDC says typically Americans contract malaria while traveling overseas, so this small outbreak is highly unusual. Malaria is often spread through mosquitoes, blood transfusions, organ transplants, and unsafe needle sharing. Newly declassified information indicates the U.S. intelligence community is still not sure how the pandemic started. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence says it is still plausible COVID-19 originated in the wild as opposed to in a laboratory. There is general agreement that the coronavirus was not genetically engineered. The theory that COVID-19 originated as a lab leak, possibly from a virus research facility in Wuhan, China, remains possible but unproven. Intelligence experts continue to work with virologists to confirm the true origins of the pandemic. Well, school is out and screens are on. Health experts say children and adolescents spend a lot of time watching devices, gaming consoles, TVs, and more. And over the summer, kids may turn to screens more often because they have more time on their hands. Mandy Gaither has some healthy ways to beat summer boredom.
If summer break is starting to lose its sizzle, you're not alone.
After a few weeks, sometimes the newness has worn off and people are looking for new things to do and new ways to occupy their time.
Dr. Gina Robinson with Cleveland Clinic Children's Hospital says screens do have their place in a child's life, but urges parents to set boundaries. She says to stick to 2 hours or less a day and break it up into smaller increments like 15 to 20 minutes at a time.
A lot of kids want to spend their time in front of screens all day. Kids are getting frustrated because their parents don't want them to sit in front of screens all day. So it can start to get a little rough.
Robinson says to talk to your kids, allow them to decide which activities to build in during the day and encourage them to get outside.
Bubbles and sidewalk chalk and jump ropes and hula hoops and just things that you can do right outside in the yard if you have a yard available or a green space available.
Other ideas, neighborhood walks, scavenger hunts, a trip to the museum or the library, which can also help when they go back to school.
Countless studies have shown how much kids lose over the summer.
Robinson says playdates are also a good way to keep kids entertained and to keep them being social.
Isolation can lead to a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. It's human to want to connect with people.
Robinson says summer should be about having fun. If you need help finding things for your children to do, ask neighbors, friends, or even those who work at the local library for some ideas about what might be going on in your area. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Yeah, and we are watching some strong severe thunderstorms possible tonight. We also have alert days Wednesday and Thursday for dangerous heat, temperatures in the 100s. Take another look at your forecast when we come back.
Good morning, I'm Tanya Bach with your KOAM News Update. An early Monday morning fire causes extensive damage to a church in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Authorities received reports of the fire around 2:45 Monday morning at the St. James Episcopal Church on Prospect Avenue in Baxter Springs. And no injuries were reported and none of the firefighters were injured. The cause of the fire is under investigation. The Alliance of Southwest Missouri hopes surveillance images help police identify the person who vandalized and stole from its Joplin building over the weekend. A staff member discovered the damage, which included a broken window and water pipe, human feces on the carpet, and thefts of a TV monitor, food, and beverages. The mission of the Alliance is to improve the health and safety of area children and families.
We've got a hot one for us today. Could see a couple of pop-up showers or thunderstorms. Otherwise, partly cloudy. Temperatures mid-90s out there. Our UV index today down by 1 to a 10. Still, burn time is right around 20 minutes. Make sure you are taking precautions out there. We are very warm tonight. Strong to severe thunderstorms possible overnight. Lows in the upper 70s, and we are partly cloudy leading into that. Alert days Wednesday, Thursday. Temperatures in the 100s continuing into Friday, and storms on Saturday.
Right now at 5:30, if you're traveling this 4th of July, you should expect some delays.
We've got ourselves some strong to severe thunderstorms possible tonight and alert days for dangerous heat this week. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
And Kansas City University in Joplin opens the doors to its dental school.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:32. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've got dangerous heat this week. We've got strong to severe thunderstorms tonight. There is a lot to cover. And even though we've got 3 straight hours of morning news, there's not a lot of time to fit it all in. So we're going to dive right into what we've got here. We're going to start with our alert days for Wednesday and Thursday. This is for dangerous heat with temperatures getting into the lower 100s as we head then. And we've also got a possible alert day for Friday. Temperatures again possibly into the lower 100s. So we'll keep track of that as we get a little closer. And we could break some records this week as well. So tomorrow we're expecting 102. That's the record in 2012. We're expecting 107 on Thursday, which would easily break the 103-degree record from 1953. And in 2011 on Friday, we set a record of 100. We're expecting right now a forecast high of 104. Then on top of that, we've got strong severe thunderstorms possible tonight. We've got the lower end risk here in the yellow, and then we've got the elevated risk for the orange. So if we zoom in and take a look at what that looks like on on the local level. We've been mentioning elk in Chautauqua County. It's barely there, but there's a very low-end tornado risk. There is also an elevated hail risk for some of us in southeast Kansas, but the bigger threat with these storms is going to be strong, damaging winds. So we've got from elevated to enhanced across the area. So we're talking wind gusts 70 miles an hour, possibly a little stronger. And you see those hatch marks. We don't see them very often, but they indicate the possibility of wind gusts in excess of 80 miles an hour. So let's take a look down the road. We still have that possibility of a stray pop-up shower or storm. I think the majority of us, unfortunately, are going to stay dry and warm. And then it won't be until about midnight tonight that we'll see the possibility of these strong to severe thunderstorms racing across the area as we go into the overnight hours. And that's when we could see our best chance for strong to severe storms is roughly between midnight and 3 a.m. And we look at our rain chances. Again, they pick up a bit. We could again see an evening pop-up storm or two, but our better rain chances happening into the overnight hours. We'll have another look at your full forecast and whether or not there's any relief on the way, and maybe even how the 4th of July looks here in a few more minutes.
Thanks, Chris. Authorities are searching for answers after a plane crashed into Lake Hamilton in Garland County, Arkansas, killing one person and injuring another. Authorities say the plane was heading toward Hot Springs Airport before the crash. One 23-year-old woman survived the crash. Divers found 49-year-old Daniel Dale in the lake and pronounced him dead at the scene. There's no word on how many people were on board or what caused the crash. Today is PTSD Awareness Day. At least 1 in 13 people suffer from PTSD. And did you know women are more likely to develop PTSD than men? That's right, about 10% of women. And 4% of men will develop PTSD in their lifetime. PTSD affects about 3.5% of U.S. adults every year. That's about 8 million adults in the U.S. who have PTSD at any given time. Now, common events that can cause PTSD include combat exposure, childhood abuse, and sexual violence.
PTSD is like a one-time trauma, so it has a beginning and an end, and it affects people. But complex is when it's been ongoing for many years, like childhood abuse or maybe a marriage that has domestic violence, whereas PTSD is more like a car accident or maybe you witness a death or something like that.
Show Me State puts broadband expansion on its list of priorities. The state of Missouri receives more than $1.7 billion through the Broadband Equity, Access, and Deployment Program, or BEAD. Officials say the allocation comes through the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. This funding, ranking third highest in the nation, will support the state's expansion efforts. The funding will enable the Office of Broadband Development to collaborate with service providers and ensure quality internet connections for underserved areas. Holiday travelers should expect delays across the 4 states and the nation. AAA projects a record number of Americans will travel over the 4th of July weekend. They say 50.7 million are expected to travel 50 miles or more from home. Officials say the increase is primarily driven by a surge in car and air travel. Additionally, INRIX predicts this Friday will be the busiest day on the road during the holiday weekend, with increased travel times and traffic congestions in major metropolitan areas. Well, that's due, at least in part, to much lower fuel prices than a year ago. The average in Crawford County, Kansas sits at $3.18 a gallon. Newton County, $3.15. Jasper County, Missouri currently sits at $3.14. And Ottawa County, Oklahoma, $3.11. Kansas City University in Joplin officially opens its College of Dental Medicine. After years of anticipation and construction, the new facility held a grand opening and the media got an inside look. In a few weeks, 80 dental students will fill the seats and begin their 4-year education, becoming the next generation of dentists, orthodontists, and hygienists. The new techniques and equipment provided at the KCU campus in Joplin will allow both students and patients to learn by allowing patients to see their teeth on a monitor.
The university is becoming a more impactful health sciences university, and as a health sciences university we can train the next generation of health professionals in multiple fields and address the needs of the community.
first class of students will graduate in 2027. This morning, we're discussing preserving culture and history.
Yeah, culture and history were on display at the International African American Museum's dedication. Former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama joined in with a video message before the museum opens to the public. Museum leaders say their mission is to share the untold stories of African American history, all from the same spot where around 100,000 Africans were dropped off and enslaved.
Former Charleston Mayor Joe Riley has been working on bringing the museum to life for over 20 years. He was inspired from reading Edward Ball's book, Slaves in the Family, and says it was time to share the country's true history. U.S. Representative Jim Clyburn was also instrumental in the museum's creation, admitting he was reserved when talks first started. Now he says it will teach these important stories.
And that brings us to our question for you. How should culture be preserved? You've got a number of options. So far, 75% of you say all of those options are the best way to preserve culture. Another 25% of you say it's something not on our list. So make sure you take time to vote through our website, through our app, and of course take part in our discussion on our Facebook page.
And there you go. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, we meet a dog who's looking to break his own record. Find out what that is.
Plus, we'll have the latest on the Wagner rebellion that took place over the weekend and what Putin has to say about it. We'll have the latest on that.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, explorers discover an ancient Mayan city in Mexico's southeastern jungle. According to the Institute of Anthropology and History of Mexico, the site was called Stone Column due to the number of cylindrical rock posts. The expedition's archaeologists explain that the monument covers more than 123 acres. According to the experts, it was an important center during the classical period, which is the years 250 AD to 1000 AD, but suffered alterations. Almost 5,000 humpback whales were spotted off the coast of New South Wales in Australia on Sunday. This was during an annual census, which saw this as a considerable increase from last year's numbers. The whales, captured here by a member of the Organization for the Rescue and Research of Cetaceans, or ORCA, said they spent the day observing the whales. Over 3,200 were spotted last year, and they usually migrate from Antarctica to Queensland and Hervey Islands between June and early September. The whales follow this pattern to mate and reproduce. They then turn tail and head back between September and November. Well, 36-hour rebellion fizzled out quickly over the weekend in Russia, though the Biden administration says the fallout remains to be seen. In a speech yesterday, Russian President Vladimir Putin vowed justice. As of Monday morning, the whereabouts of the mercenary leader who launched the revolt were unknown, though he released a new audio tape claiming his targets were Russian military leaders, not Putin. Jared Hill has the latest.
In his first public comment since the weekend's brief uprising, Russian President Vladimir Putin vowed to bring the organizers to justice. Wagner Group leader Yevgeny Prigozhin launched the short-lived revolt Saturday, claiming that Russian military strikes have killed dozens of his men, before it was called off with a deal for Prigozhin to live in exile in Belarus and his men to return to their bases to avoid charges. In new audio that surfaced Monday, the mercenary leader said he did not intend to overthrow Putin.
The ultimate outcome of all this remains to be seen.
Yesterday, President Biden said the U.S. and its allies had nothing to do with the conflict.
We gave Putin no excuse to blame this on the West or to blame this on NATO. This was part of a struggle within the Russian system.
A U.S. official has confirmed the Biden administration will give Ukraine another $500 million drawdown package of military assistance, including Bradley and Stryker armored vehicles, artillery, and munitions. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky visited troops in the Donetsk region yesterday. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry released this video of British military planes claiming their fighter jets intercepted them over the Black Sea near Russia's border. Jared Hill, CBS News.
In his speech Monday, Russian President Putin offered Wagner Group fighters the choice of living in exile in Belarus, going home, or fighting for Russia. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 5:47 now on this Tuesday morning. We've got alert days as we head into our Wednesday and Thursday for dangerous heat with temperatures in the lower 100s. And we're monitoring Friday. We've put it as a possible alert day for those dangerous temperatures. Highs in the low 100s again, possible into Friday. And we could break some records this week as well. So tomorrow we're forecasting about 102, and that's the record from 2012. So we could at least tie that. And we go into Thursday. The record was 103 back in 1953. We're set for 107 at this point. And Friday we're watching the record 100 back in 2011. We're expecting right now 104 degrees out there. And then to add to everything, we have a severe threat as we head into the overnight hours tonight. So we've got this lower end risk in the yellow. So we got that slight risk, and we have an elevated risk or the enhanced risk here in the orange. So what does that look like on a more local level than that? This is what it looks like. We've been mentioning, again, Elk, Chautauqua County. There's a very small sliver of a very low-end tornado threat out there. We've got an elevated hail risk for parts of southeast Kansas, and then we have the elevated to enhanced wind risk for a good portion of the area. And then those hatch marks, those indicate significant severe. So the yellow and reds indicate winds could be 60, 70 miles an hour out there, but that hatch mark indicates that we could see some storms with winds in excess of 80 miles an hour as we head into the overnight hours tonight. So we don't need that severe weather. We need the rain, but unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with that. Now, through the day, we again could see an isolated pop-up storm or shower. We're not expecting much out of that. It'll be overnight tonight. About midnight, we'll see this complex of thunderstorms. These computer models, again, they continuously update, so they change every so often. They've changed a bit, but we're still looking at these strong, severe thunderstorms rolling through between about midnight and 3 a.m. before they exit the area, and that's when our best severe chance is going to be. So at the pop-up storms, we do have a slightly increased chance for some storms later this evening, but again, our best chance for storms is going to come overnight tonight into very early tomorrow morning. Our camera 7th in range line looks great so far. A few clouds out there. We're sitting at 60, dew points at 57, humidity 90%, so it's a bit on the sticky side out there, a little muggy. We also have some cool temperatures to the north. Iola at 57, 61 in Parsons, 62 Pittsburgh, 64 Miami, 62 Neosho, and we're sitting at 61 in Carthage, so enjoy this while it lasts. As we get our day started, again, a few isolated showers possible, otherwise partly cloudy, mid-80s by late morning. And then as we head into the afternoon, we've got highs today, mid-90s, partly cloudy, mostly clear skies, variance. So that brought our UV index down by 1 to 10, which is still very high. Burn time's about 20 minutes, so do make sure again that you're taking those precautions out there and staying safe. Our evening is going to be very warm. We're still in the 90s. We've got temperatures 80 by 10, increasing clouds, stormy overnight, lows tonight back into the upper 70s. And then there's our alert days with those triple-digit temperatures Wednesday, Thursday, and into Friday. Could see some thunderstorms Friday evening and Saturday, a little cooler Monday. And I wanted to quickly mention 4th of July. I know Krenz is back there getting angry at me, but I wanted to mention 4th of July. We have scattered thunderstorm chances as we go through next week. These are looking to be pop-up storms, so don't cancel your 4th of July plans, but just be aware you may need to move under a tent or something if you see a thunderstorm. Otherwise, hot, mid-90s for the 4th. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Wednesday, June 28th.
Well, it seems there's a competition for everything. There's even a competition for dog jumping. Now we're going to take you to meet Saunders, who's jumping to break his own record. Ariana Cohen reports.
It's just a lot of fun. A lot of people enjoy watching the dogs fly through the air and get wet.
More than 100 dogs are competing in this North America dog diving event at the Valley Center Dog Dock.
What's needed most to be a dog diving dog is drive. They need to want to get that toy no matter what. Find out how to have the most fun with your dog. This is it.
Ready, get it. Laurel Banky is the owner of Sounders, an 8-year-old whippet.
There's never been a dog in the world that has jumped farther or higher than him. He jumps 36 feet, 11 inches for distance.
And just last fall, Sounders set the record for a 9-foot vertical jump.
He's one of those 1 in a million whippets that just has the confidence and drive to do anything to get that toy.
Go Sounders!
Sounders jumped several times today. I watched him jump more than 34 feet, and he creates quite the splash.
I want to get splashed. When the dogs jump and they hit the water really hard and it splashes all over you.
This 9-year-old gives the event 2 thumbs up. For now, Sounders plans to splash new records.
How much do you love this dog?
A lot.
You want to practice?
A lot. He's my buddy. We go everywhere together. He's just a very special, very sweet dog.
When you can tell how much Whippet loves to jump, you could see his tail wagging the entire 36 feet. That was pretty awesome. We'll be right back. Barbie fans have a chance to stay at a life-size Barbie Malibu dream house for free to mark the release of the live-action Barbie movie. Warner Brothers and Airbnb teamed up for the promotion. Ken is taking over the house, spelling his name with floats in the pool and putting some of his own touches on the place. 2 winners will get an overnight stay on July 21st and 22nd. Each can bring a friend. And this is the same dream house that Airbnb listed in 2019 for $60 a night in honor of the 60th anniversary of Barbie. The mansion has since had a makeover. Starting July 17th, you can go to airbnb.com/KenDreamhouse to take your chance at one of the bookings. I would love to stay there. That'd be so cool. First of all, I got to find someone to go to the movie with me. A key discovery in space. Moving along. NASA says astronomers have detected a crucial carbon molecule for the first time using the James Webb Space Telescope. The compound is called a methylcation, or CH3+. It was discovered in a star system about 1,350 light years away from Earth in the Orion Nebula. Scientists say carbon compounds are important because they act as the foundation for life as we know it. The new discovery could someday help researchers determine if life exists elsewhere in the universe.
All right, we got strong, possibly severe thunderstorms overnight tonight with damaging winds the primary threat. Hot today in the mid-90s. Alert days Wednesday and Thursday. Temps lower 100s. Possible alert day Friday. Watching that low 100s. Mid-90s by Saturday. Maybe some evening storms Friday into Saturday. Cooler on Sunday. 90. 92 Monday with additional pop-up storms. We'll have more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6, a 5-vehicle crash, including 3 tractor trailers on I-44 near exit 18, turns deadly.
We've got alert days for possible dangerous heat this week. We also have some strong to severe thunderstorms possible tonight. Take a look at that forecast coming up.
And firefighters battle an early Monday morning blaze that does extensive damage to a church in Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner, just after 6 o'clock now on this Tuesday morning, and we've got a lot of weather to talk about. Usually I like to chat with you, but I've got so much to cover. We're going to dive right in. Hey, don't worry. We'll calm down at some point. I'll be able to chat with you some more. Excuse me. All right, let me get ready for this. We have alert days as we head into tomorrow and Thursday for that dangerous heat with temperatures in the lower 100s. Then we have a possible alert day set out for Friday. We're looking at highs in the lower 100s, but as we get closer, we'll keep an eye on that. And with this heat this week, we could also potentially break some records out there. Tomorrow, we're expecting 102, could tie the record from 2012. Thursday, we're looking at 107 for the high, which could easily break the record in 1953. And Friday, right now, we're expecting 104, which could break the record of 100 back in 2011. We also have some thunderstorms. Now, this activity out to our west should die out as it gets closer, but could be the catalyst for the pop-up storm chances that we've been talking about today. We also have a severe threat as we head into tonight. We've got the elevated to enhanced areas highlighted across a good portion of the 4 states and a lower end risk just outside of that for our northern counties. So when we break it down on the local level, we still have Elk Chautauqua County have that very small sliver of a very low end tornado threat. We do have an elevated hail risk for parts of southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, and an elevated to enhanced wind risk for a good portion of the area. And these hatch marks indicate the possibility of winds greater than 80 miles an hour with thunderstorms as we head into the overnight hours. So again, could see a stray pop-up shower or storm, especially from that activity out west. Majority of us stay dry. We're partly cloudy cloudy through the majority of our day as well, and we're going to be hot today. We're talking temperatures mid-90s, and then we go to midnight tonight. Here comes this batch of showers and thunderstorms. Then between midnight and 3 a.m. is our best opportunity for these strong to severe thunderstorms as we head into the overnight hours. So again, maybe a late evening storm, but again, best chances as we head overnight tonight. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll talk more about the heat and tell you about the 4th of July here in a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. A widely used bridge in southwest Missouri can expect some traffic changes in the near future. Missouri Department of Transportation announced there will be changing lane reductions and delays on the I-44 bridge and the I-44 and I-49 bridge. This is at exit 18 in Fidelity. It'll be for bridge repair work. Now, the work is needed because the bridge was damaged by a crane back on June 13th. On I-44 eastbound, traffic will be reduced to one lane until the repairs are completed. Westbound traffic may experience occasional lane closures as well. On I-49, Missouri Route 59, no traffic will be allowed under the I-44 bridge while crews are working. That means northbound Route 59 traffic will be diverted to eastbound I-44. Southbound I-49 traffic will be diverted to westbound I-44. Repairs will go from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. and they're expected to finish August 18th. You can find additional detours on our KOAM News app. Well, a fatal crash creates further difficulties in the area of the Interstate 44 bridge repair. Monday's crash involved 5 vehicles, including 3 tractor trailers on eastbound Interstate 44 approaching exit 18. This is the same area where the traffic has been slowed since an accident nearly 2 weeks ago damaged the interstate bridge. Missouri Highway Patrol, according to them, 1 person was killed in the crash that happened around 5:35 Monday afternoon. Traffic was halted as both eastbound lanes were closed last night. Even before Monday's crash, though, Missouri Highway Patrol had said motorists should be prepared for additional delays and detours in that area as repair work continues on the bridge in the coming days. A fire near a school in Exeter, Missouri can expect to release heavy smoke for some time to come. That's the message from firefighters in Berry County on Monday morning. Authorities were alerted to the fire around 4 o'clock yesterday morning. They say a 200-foot-long stack of railroad ties is burning. Now, the fire has been reduced and contained, but authorities say it will continue to burn for some time. And an early Monday morning fire causes extensive damage to a church in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Authorities received reports of the fire around 2:45 a.m. Monday morning at the St. James Episcopal Church on Prospect Avenue in Eureka Springs. No injuries were reported and none of the firefighters were injured. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Travelers should expect some delays across the 4 states and the nation during this upcoming holiday weekend. AAA projects a record number of Americans will travel over the 4th of July weekend. They say 50.7 million are expected to travel 50 miles or more from home. Officials say the increase is primarily driven by a surge in car and air travel. Additionally, INRIX predicts this Friday will be the busiest day on the road during the holiday weekend, with increased travel times and traffic congestions in major metropolitan areas. Now, that's due at least in part to much lower fuel prices than a year ago. The average in Crawford County, Kansas sits at $3.18 a gallon. Newton County, $3.15. Jasper County, Missouri currently sits at $3.14. And in Ottawa County, Oklahoma, the price is $3.11 a gallon. The nation's highest court will likely release the last of its opinions for this term soon. There are a lot of blockbuster cases left that Americans are eagerly awaiting, covering topics from religious liberty to affirmative action and student loan forgiveness. Madeline Rivera has the report.
On June 26, 2015, the Supreme Court ruled all states must allow same-sex marriage, an anniversary the White House is celebrating.
Our work is not over, but today we celebrate the progress that has been made and we recommit ourselves to the work ahead.
As it approaches the end of its term, the Supreme Court is once again poised to release more monumental opinions that could shake up the country's landscape. The future of affirmative action is hanging in the balance. 2 cases are looking to bar colleges and universities from considering race in admissions.
If you're giving some people a leg up because of their race, that means you're also just giving some people a leg down.
But some legal experts are worried the ruling could have implications beyond higher education.
Many people are afraid of that we could be undoing a half century of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives around the country.
The nation's highest court is also set to decide whether to give President Biden's plan to cancel up to $20,000 in student loans a green light.
The president cannot unilaterally forgive that student debt.
Those who back loan forgiveness argue the plaintiffs don't have standing to sue in the first place.
You give them the opportunity to bring suit on behalf of other people, you will be changing 200 plus years of American jurisprudence as to who are the parties to a case.
This week is set to be the tentative last public court sessions before summer recess, but that could slip into July depending on the caseload. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, new evidence in the mounting legal woes for former President Donald Trump.
Newly obtained audio shows former President Trump discussing secret documents at his golf club in New Jersey. I'm Jared Hill with how this could fit into the classified documents case against him.
Plus, drug makers race to find the next big weight loss pill, and they may already be on the market. We've got the details. And Chris returns with another look at your forecast and if those are in fact storm clouds on the horizon. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, prosecutors will seek the death penalty against Brian Kohberger, the suspect in the murders last year of 4 University of Idaho students. Prosecutors say the killings were, quote, especially heinous. Kohberger exhibited utter disregard for human life. Defense attorneys claim there is no connection between Kohberger and the victims and that DNA from 3 other males was found at the scene. Kohberger, 28-year-old former PhD student, is expected to make a court appearance today. Federal prosecutors rested their case Monday afternoon in the death penalty eligibility phase of the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting trial. Robert Bowers was found guilty earlier this month of all 63 charges against him for killing 11 worshipers and wounding 6 others at the Tree of Life synagogue in 2018. Prosecutors called 8 witnesses to the stand on Monday. 6 were family members of people killed in the attack. The other 2, a SWAT officer and an FBI special agent. U.S. House Judiciary Committee is reportedly set to hear from the head of the FBI next month. According to 2 sources, FBI Director Christopher Wray will testify during an oversight hearing. Wray could possibly take questions related to claims of retaliation in the FBI against whistleblowers and allegations that the agency is targeting Catholic Americans. Special Counsel John Durham's recent report may also come up during the hearing. The report concluded the FBI should not have launched a full investigation into connections between Trump's presidential campaign and Russia during the 2016 election. Sources say Wray could testify before the committee on July 12th. CBS News has obtained audio of former President Trump apparently discussing what he describes as highly confidential secret documents. The recording, first obtained by CNN from July 2021, was cited in Special Counsel Jack Smith's indictment related to alleged mishandling of classified documents. Jared Hill has more.
They presented me this is off the record. But
Newly obtained audio of former President Trump could prove to be a key piece of evidence in the case related to his handling of classified documents. In the federal indictment, Special Counsel Jack Smith alleges Trump put national security secrets at risk by mishandling papers after he left the White House. Among them, a plan Trump says relates to a potential military effort in Iran.
it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. Look at this.
According to the indictment, the recording from 2021 was taken during a meeting with a writer, a publisher, and 2 staffers. none of whom possessed a security clearance. In the recording, the former president also appears to admit that he no longer has the authority to declassify the material.
See, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't,
Overnight on social media, the former president claimed that the special counsel, quote, illegally leaked and spun a tape and transcript of him, which is actually an exoneration. CBS News legal contributor Ricky Kleeman.
He's going to say that he never had a document in his hand up in Bedminster, New Jersey, and that he was just waving around some papers willy-nilly, but he was bragging, which is what he tends to do.
Former President Trump has pleaded not guilty to the charges. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Neither the special counsel nor the Department of Justice have responded to the audio. Let's look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got a pretty decent start to our Tuesday out there. Unfortunately, we also have the possibility of some strong to severe thunderstorms overnight tonight and alert days for excessive heat this week. We'll take a look at that full forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Huge savings at Metro Appliances on the right product right now.
Nominate your Ford State Hero today.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Coming up on 6:18 now on this Tuesday morning. We have alert days for Wednesday and Thursday for dangerous heat with temperatures in the low, possibly mid 100s. And then we have a possible alert day for us on Friday with more dangerous temperatures possible back into the low 100s. So we're going to keep an eye on the Friday forecast. Hopefully it gets turned down just a little bit, but it may not. We could also potentially break some records with this heat this week. We've been talking about it. We're expecting 102 tomorrow, which could tie 2012's record. We're looking at 103 in 1953 as a record. We're expecting 107 for us on Thursday. And right now we're expecting 104 Friday, which would break the record of 100 back in 2011. Now, we also have the possibility of some thunderstorms tonight. First, take a look out to our west. We've got these scattered showers and storms. These should begin to die out as they continue to move on off to the east. But this system, the energy here, could be the catalyst for a few pop-up storms for us later today. They'll be isolated, but we could see one or two. Our severe threat is overnight tonight, where we've got an elevated to enhanced risk for strong to severe thunderstorms across the region. And the biggest threat with these is looking to be damaging winds. We do have a very low end risk, barely clipping Elk and Chautauqua counties for a tornado. The bigger threat, again, we've got an elevated risk for hail, and we have that elevated to enhanced risk for strong damaging wind gusts, which would be upwards of 70 miles an hour in some cases. And these hatch marks indicate the possibility of significant severe weather. And in this case, since it's highlighted for wind, we're talking the possibility of wind gusts greater than 80 miles an hour with tonight's storms. So let's take a look at the future track. There go a couple of those possible pop-up storms. Again, if we get any, they'll be very isolated and very brief. We'll spend the rest of the day partly cloudy and hot out there. Then we head to about midnight tonight, and we'll start to see this complex of thunderstorms roll through the area. And between midnight and 3 a.m. is going to be our best chance for strong to severe thunderstorms across the area. So, of course, we'll be here keeping an eye on that for you. As we look at our rain chances, you can see again, once we hit about midnight, they pick up a bit, and then they will begin to die down as we head tomorrow morning. Got a great sunrise from 7th and Range Line. A few clouds out there, otherwise not bad and cool. 59. Hard to believe how warm we're going to get today. Dew point's low at 54. Humidity's come down a bit, but it's still up there at 83%. And we have a chilly start across the region. 58 Stockton, Nevada, Fort Scott. 57 Iola, 61 Pittsburgh, 64 Neodesha Parsons, 62 Chetopa Miami, and 61 Neosho and Monette. As we get our morning started, again, we'll be partly cloudy, an isolated shower or two possible. We're into the mid-80s by late morning, and those pop-up storm chances start to die down once we get into the afternoon. We'll be partly cloudy to mostly clear and hot, temperatures mid-90s, and thanks to a little bit of cloud cover, it's brought our UV index down by 1 to a 10. That's still very high, though, and our burn time is about 20 minutes, so make sure you got hats, sunglasses, sunscreen, find some shade and limit your time outside. And of course, with the heat itself, make sure you are staying hydrated out there. Now, the problem is, even though we've got a nice looking evening, it stays hot. 96 at 6, 91 by 8, 80 at 10 o'clock. We'll start to see increasing clouds ahead of the overnight storms, and we stay pretty warm tonight as well, back into the upper 70s for our overnight lows. We got the alert days again. Temperatures low, mid 100s. Possibly some low 100s Friday. Maybe some evening storms and a few thunderstorm chances possible Saturday, mid-90s, a little cooler Sunday. And then we've got pop-up storm chances through the majority of next week. So these are pop-up storms, so don't cancel your plans, but do be prepared, especially on the 4th of July. Watch out for a couple of rain showers out there. It's otherwise going to be hot, mid-90s on the 4th, and we got low 90s to wrap up next week. That's a check of your forecast. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
To live healthier lives.
Topping Health Watch this morning, a new national study finds very few patients hospitalized for alcohol use disorder are receiving drugs that are approved to help with sobriety. Researchers in Boston found within 2 days of discharge, only about 2% of patients with a primary diagnosis of AUD went on medication that promotes behavior change. Researchers say much more needs to be done to get doctors to prescribe the medications to this high-risk population. In the battle against opioid addiction, scientists in Israel have found a way to potentially affect how a person responds to fentanyl. According to a study in Current Biology, researchers were able to manipulate certain neurons in the brain to regulate the amount of fentanyl consumed. And when it comes to losing weight, new research shows intermittent fasting works about as well as cutting calories. A new study in the Annals of Internal Medicine found participants who restricted their eating to the hours of noon to 8 p.m. lost about 10 pounds more than the control group after 1 year, while participants who reduced their caloric intake by 25% lost about 12 pounds. And in a new study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, researchers found a daily pill called orforglipron from the drug maker Eli Lilly helped participants with obesity lose nearly 15% of their body weight over 36 weeks. And a recent study also found the active ingredient in the popular injectable diabetes drug Ozempic and Wegovy could be effective in reducing weight when taken in the pill form every day.
All of these medications work by teaching sort of that hormonal axis between the brain and the gut, the way that your brain tells your digestive system, look, you've had enough. It's those hormones that these medications are impacting.
Side effects from orforglipron include vomiting, constipation, diarrhea, and burping. Sounds wonderful. 10 to 17% of participants had to stop taking the drug. Still, experts say the pills in development would be an alternative to those once-a-week injections that are currently available, and they may cost less. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got a hot day ahead of us today. Temperatures mid-90s, couple of pop-up storms possible, but they'll be very isolated. We'll go partly cloudy, mostly clear, putting our UV index down just a pinch to a 10, which is still very high. It means our burn time is right around 20 minutes, so do make sure you're taking precautions outside. Make sure you're protecting yourself and staying hydrated. We'll have a hot evening. Increasing clouds, 80 by 10, strong, possibly severe thunderstorms overnight tonight as we go back into the upper 70s. And as we look ahead, we've got alert days tomorrow and Thursday. Temperatures low, mid 100s out there. Possible alert day for Friday for temperatures in the lower 100s. Some thunderstorms on Saturday, a little cooler Sunday, and more pop-up storms by Monday. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6:30, vandals break into the Alliance of Southwest Missouri, and now the organization hopes surveillance footage will help identify the perpetrator.
We've got alert days as we head into the end of this week for excessive heat. We also have the possibility of some strong, maybe severe thunderstorms overnight tonight. We'll look at that forecast coming up.
And as marijuana profits rise sky high in many states, the Show Me State moves to change labeling for marijuana products to make them less appealing to children.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've got a pretty cool start out there this morning, but we've got a hot day today. We've got excessive heat as we head into the end of this week, and we've got the possibility of some strong, maybe even severe thunderstorms heading into tonight. So we got a lot to cover here. We've got the alert days for Wednesday and Thursday for that dangerous heat. We're talking temperatures low, maybe even mid 100s out there. We also have a possible alert day for us on Friday with that dangerous heat continuing. We could see highs once again in the lower 100s. And then we could also break some records this week as well. We got a forecast high of 102 tomorrow, which could tie the 2012 record, 107 for Thursday, which could easily break the 103 set back in 1953. And right now we're looking at about 104 on Friday, which could break the 100-degree record back in 2011. We do have some scattered thunderstorms out to our west, and these could be the catalyst for some pop-up thunderstorm chances for parts of us, especially in southeast Kansas, as we head into this afternoon. Because as you can see, they are beginning to kind of fizzle out, and they should continue to do so, but a couple of pop-up storms possible. We also have a severe threat. We've got an elevated to enhanced risk for strong to severe thunderstorms as we head into the overnight hours tonight, and with damaging winds being the greatest threat. Now, we've got that low-wind tornado risk for just a sliver of Elk and Chautauqua counties, but that's a very low risk. Right now, we've got an elevated hail risk for parts of southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma, and we have an elevated to enhanced risk for damaging wind gusts. We're talking 70 miles an hour out there for a good chunk of the area, but we also have those hatch marks, and that indicates the possibility of winds in excess of 80 miles an hour with some of these storms. So again, a couple of pop-up storms possible this morning into the early afternoon, and then we go between midnight and 3 a.m., and that's where we're going to see this complex of thunderstorms roll through the area, and that's going to be our best window for those strong to severe thunderstorms. We'll talk more about your full forecast and how the 4th of July holiday is shaping up here in just a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Not all wounds are visible. That's the slogan for this year's PTSD Awareness Day. PTSD develops in some who have experienced a shocking or dangerous event and have difficulty recovering from the trauma the incident caused. That event can be a number of things, such as military personnel who have experienced violence, victims of crime, those involved in an accident, or survivors of a natural disaster, like the tornado that struck Joplin back in 2011.
Absolutely. That's one of the questions on our assessment. We asked if they've witnessed the Joplin tornado. I have several clients that are suffering from that. And if it storms, I have one client, I literally have to close the drapes.
If you have experienced a traumatic event or events in your life, seek a professional evaluation. Dealing with trauma can be a daily struggle, and a professional therapist can provide you with coping techniques to help you navigate your road to recovery. Well, the Alliance of Southwest Missouri hopes surveillance images help police identify the person who vandalized and stole from its Joplin building over the weekend. Monday morning, a staff member discovered the damage, which included a broken window and water pipe, human feces on the carpet, and thefts of a TV monitor, food, and beverages.
Just calling on the community to help us pay attention while we're in this transition. There's probably about $5,000 worth of damage. Earlier, we thought it was going to be more like $1,000, but the more we're finding, it is significant. The interesting piece is we don't have full ownership of the building, so there's different insurance policies that we're going to have to try to figure out.
The Alliance is looking for volunteers to help the organization. Their mission is to improve the health and safety of area children and families. Suspect charged with rape in Jasper County, Missouri will soon have a day in court. Prosecutors charged Brock Powell of Carterville with second-degree rape. Authorities arrested him on June 16th. Powell has since posted bail. Carterville Police Department says the crime happened April 21st. They say he allegedly raped a female victim. Court documents say a witness corroborated the victim's accusations of rape. City of Miami, Oklahoma says its parks have seen recent multiple incidents of vandalism. They say playground equipment, including slides and tubes at the splash pad park, have intentionally been damaged by someone removing bolts, as you can see in this picture. An official says the bolts were removed from the upper parts of the pirate ship structure. They believe the goal of the vandals seems to be causing maximum harm. And they say the vandals are also apparently taking the bolts with them. Oklahoma now produces much more marijuana than the state needs for medical purposes. That's the finding of a report ordered by the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority. Organization conducted a survey finding the regulated supply of medical marijuana produced in the state is at least 32 times the patient demand. Study concludes the oversupply is very likely adding to an illicit market by some cultivators and retailers. You can find a link to the entire report through KOAMnewsnow.com. And recreational marijuana industry continues to see sky-high profits in many states. In Missouri, a new rule will require labels for many marijuana products to be less appealing for minors. John Kipper reports.
What we have on the shelf, I don't think that maybe but 2 brands would potentially be compliant with this new regulation.
Jason Crady owns Missouri Wild Alchemy, cannabis dispensary in O'Fallon. He knows the products he's selling will soon look a lot different. He knows customers who rely on their packaging, especially for edibles, and suppliers put a lot of thought into branding.
The colors and the font sizes on the different things do matter, and I think it's important. I think it's a little bit of a kind of an overreach.
Due to a new Missouri regulation beginning August 1st, pot products labels can't include a long list of things like any cartoon, a real-life person, animal, or fruit. They can only have limited colors, and the brand name or label cannot be bigger than the word marijuana on the package. Crady tracked down a few products already in compliance.
All solid color, their label's one color. The marijuana is the largest font on the package.
It's kind of if it's not broke, don't fix it situation.
Drew Lammert grows, manufactures, and sells cannabis. He says Missouri rolled out recreational weed better than any other state in the country, but packaging is already tough for kids to get into.
We already could not design our packaging to appeal to minors, and you had child-resistant packaging.
Yet Folks News 4 found believes the labels could be less kid-friendly.
I do feel like there should be a parental warning for them.
And they believe parents who have weed at home should also be held accountable.
You also have to expect people to be good parents, which is not always the case, and so they just leave their stuff out and then their kids get into it.
Potential lawsuits could come out of the new rules. Lammert points out this line in the state constitution, saying under all circumstances, any such regulation shall be no more stringent than comparable state regulations on the advertising and promotion of alcohol sales. Yet, when you look at alcohol products in St. Louis, they definitely show cartoons and other images that would not be compliant with the new pot rules.
I just believe that this current rule that they have out right now is violating that constitutional amendment.
Lammert says he doesn't plan to sue, but says somebody else easily could.
While the rule technically starts at the end of August, Lammert says the state is offering some type of waiver period. Right now, there is no word on how long that will last. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, world travel and the LGBTQ community.
The LGBTQ market is a formidable force in the travel world. I'm Wendy Gillette in Los Angeles with the challenges LGBTQ travelers still face.
And we've got another check of that hot and stormy forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
In Consumer Watch this morning, for the first time in 2 years, the cost of rent in the U.S. is falling. A new study from rental.com shows the median rent nationwide dropped 0.5% in May compared to a year ago, though in parts of the Midwest, rent rose more than 4% in that same time period. Median U.S. rent prices have climbed 25% since before the pandemic. Honda is recalling 1.2 million vehicles because the rear view camera images may not appear on the dashboard screen, increasing the risk of crash and injury. Recall covers the 2019 to 2022 Pilot and the 2019 to 2023 Passport SUVs and Odyssey minivan models from 2018 to 2023. The company blames a faulty cable connection, which dealers will fix free of charge. And soon you could have the chance to vacation in a real-life Barbie dream house, though this time there will be some signature touches from Ken. Ken. Starting July 17th, Airbnb customers can book 2 one-night stays for up to 2 guests in the signature pink home in Malibu that features a disco and a chance to shuffle through Ken's wardrobe. It comes ahead of the release of the Barbie movie next month. Forget Ken's wardrobe. I want Barbie's. Well, as Pride Month winds down, this week's Travel Tuesday focuses on the LGBTQ travelers. As a group, they have money to spend and are a lucrative part of the industry. But many in the LGBTQ community still struggle for acceptance in some countries. Wendy Gillette has the report.
Hannes Sassi Poulsen and Eva Maria Lange own the travel agency Pink Iceland, based in Reykjavik.
I think LGBTQ people love traveling in Iceland. It feels safe, you're celebrated. We hate the word tolerated. That's not what we do here.
Iceland invites LGBTQ tourists to enjoy its active volcanoes, glaciers, Icelandic horses, and thermal baths. There's even a rainbow flag painted on a street in the capital. The country is tapping into a lucrative travel segment with an estimated $218 billion in spending power before the pandemic.
The LGBTQ market is so large, there's now an annual international conference dedicated to it called Proud Experiences, held this year in Los Angeles.
The city laid out a rainbow-colored red carpet for the event, which brought together travel professionals from 40 countries. Event director Simon Mayle says it's an opportunity to learn more about attracting LGBTQ travelers and avoiding simple mistakes that can alienate guests.
The check-in experience, being questioned about double bed versus 2 single beds. They may have a welcome note that's addressed to Mr. and Mrs. or Senor and Senora.
There are also nations that are explicitly anti-LGBTQ. Laws in 64 countries criminalize homosexuality, and in 11, the death penalty is possible.
We saw this year that Uganda passed a law where it's illegal to even identify as LGBTQ, which is just shocking in our day and age.
But Mayle says the future is an even stronger community, with almost a third of millennials identifying as LGBTQ. Wendy Gillette, CBS News, Los Angeles.
LGBTQ travelers typically spend more than other groups. One study shows they total about 8% of tourists in Los Angeles, but make up about 20% of the overall spending. That's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a hot day for today. We also have alert days for dangerous heat Wednesday and Thursday of this week. And we also have the possibility of some strong to severe thunderstorms overnight tonight. We'll take another full look at your forecast in just a moment. We've also got our daily celebration of birthdays and anniversaries coming up after the break. But first, let's head out to New York City to see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Vladimir Dutip. Coming up on CBS Mornings, 2-time Super Bowl champion Eli Manning will be here with the CEO of Fanatics to talk about the company's one-of-a-kind donation event to help underserved youth and their families. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
Even reach out. Call and ask to speak to our care team.
All right, time for some Tuesday birthdays in the 4 states, and we are going to begin in Golden City with Reese Moreland. It's the little girl there on the left celebrating a birthday today with happy birthday love coming from the family.
All right, and we've got Maya Norton celebrating birthday number 15 this year in Girard. Hope it's a great one, Maya.
And over in Carthage, Jaden McConnell celebrating birthday number 15 as well. Happy birthday, Jaden.
Jack Honeshell turning sweet 16 this year. Happy birthday, Jack.
And A.J. Hagerman celebrating birthday number 22 in Fort Scott with a nice little throwback picture there with love coming from Mom and Nana.
What a cute kid there. Let's see, Stephanie Overton celebrating birthday number 36. Obviously, we had our little girl there celebrating as well. In Golden City, happy birthday with love from the family.
And we've got Dawn Yoger over in Webb City celebrating number 50. Very happy birthday to you, Dawn.
Happy birthday, Dawn. And happy birthday to Richard Hayward, who's now 61 in Altamont, with love from his wife, children, and grandchildren.
And Gloria Hayward celebrating number 82 in Altamont. And this is actually Richard's mom, with love from her children, grandchildren, and the great-grandchildren.
All right, Mark and Sarah Dreisbach are celebrating 13 years together. They're out in Cherryville, Kansas. Congratulations.
And a happy anniversary going to Wayne and Julie Thomas in Columbus, celebrating their 31st year of wedded bliss. Happy anniversary to the Thomases.
All right, and Janet and Carrie McKenzie celebrating 53 years together in Columbus. Another big anniversary.
And we've got Bill Wells celebrating birthday number 90, our neighbor down to the south there in Crestline. Happy birthday, Bill.
Peggy Ball in Carterville. Happy birthday to you.
And Craig Biancarelli celebrating number 50 in Cherokee. It says here he's probably out there on the combine harvesting the wheat. Happy birthday, Craig.
Trying to get it in before the storms come in.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have those storms coming. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But first, we need to tell people where they can send these birthdays and anniversaries. Tanya?
And I enjoyed the size of the list, so we know folks are listening. All you have to do to join in the birthday fun is send us your pictures and all the details for birthdays and anniversaries to birthdays with an S at KOAMnewsnow.com.
And of course, while you're on our website, make sure you take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. You get great deals from local businesses. You also get a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So head over to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for that birthday club today. Excuse me. All right, we've got a lot of weather to talk about here. So we've got alert days Wednesday and Thursday for dangerous heat, temperatures into the low, maybe even mid 100s. We've got a possible alert day up for Friday. We're watching those dangerous temperatures continuing. Could see those lows, or those highs rather, back into the low 100s as well. We could also break some records. Could tie the record tomorrow at 102. Could break it Thursday with a 107 high. The record was 103. And we could potentially break it Friday. A temperature forecast is 104. The old record was 100. We've got these scattered showers and thunderstorms out to our west. Now, these are going to continue to die down as they get a little closer to us, which you can see them doing so, but they could leave enough energy left over that we could get a few pop-up storms a little later this morning for at least some of us. They'll be fairly isolated, but we could get some rain. Then tonight, we have the low to elevated, or the elevated to enhanced risk, rather, of strong to severe thunderstorms across the area as we head into the overnight hours. And what that looks like, breaking down each threat, there's still that low-end tornado risk barely clipping Elk and Chautauqua counties. Our bigger threats are going to be an elevated risk for hail for parts of southeast Kansas and northeast Oklahoma. And then the elevated to enhanced risk for wind. We're talking damaging wind gusts, 70 miles an hour possible. And then these hatch marks indicate significant severe weather. In this case for wind, we're talking the potential for wind gusts greater than 80 miles an hour out there with these storms tonight. So again, could see a couple of pop-up storms with the activity out to the west. We're otherwise going to be partly cloudy and hot today. And then right around midnight, we get this complex of showers and thunderstorms rolling into the area. So between midnight and about 3 a.m. is our best window for those strong to severe thunderstorms to sweep through the area, so something that we are keeping a close eye on. So you can see we have almost no rain chances leading up to that, and once we hit midnight, we see them pick up just a bit with those thunderstorm chances out there. We'll have another look at your forecast for today, the week ahead, and the news you need to know right after this.
Family, the neighbors are very curious about your...
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities search for answers after a plane crashes into Lake Hamilton in Garland County, Arkansas, killing one person and injuring another. Authorities say the plane was heading toward Hot Springs Airport before the crash. Divers found 49-year-old Daniel Dale in the lake and pronounced him dead at the scene. There's no word on how many people were on board or what caused the crash. Well, the Alliance of Southwest Missouri hopes surveillance images help police identify the person who vandalized and stole from its Joplin building over the weekend. Staff member discovered the damage, which included a broken window and water pipe, human feces on the carpet, and thefts of a TV monitor, food, and beverages. And an early Monday morning fire causes extensive damage to a church in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Authorities received reports of the fire around 2:45 a.m. on Monday morning at the St. James Episcopal Church on Prospect Avenue in Eureka Springs. No injuries were reported and no firefighters were injured. The cause of the fire is under investigation. And a fire near a school in Exeter, Missouri will be releasing heavy smoke for a while. Authorities were alerted to the fire around 4 a.m. Monday morning. They say a 200-foot long stack of railroad ties is burning. The fire has been reduced and contained, but authorities say it will continue to burn for some time. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
All right, quick check of that forecast. We're talking mid-90s today, maybe a pop-up storm or two. Otherwise, partly cloudy to mostly clear skies, putting our UV index still very high at a 10. So burn time's 20 minutes. Make sure you are taking precautions out there. We've got the possibility of strong to severe thunderstorms tonight. Alert days tomorrow and Thursday. Temperatures in the hundreds all the way through Friday. So evening storms Friday, scattered storms Saturday, mid-90s, and maybe a pop-up storm or two by Monday and the low 90s.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making 8-layer pistachio squares in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
All right, and your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. We're going to hear former President Trump in his own words as he apparently discusses highly confidential documents with people who had no security clearance at all and what this means for his upcoming trial. That's next on CBS Mornings.
Or you can switch over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, Charlene Patton from the Kansas Soybean Commission is stopping by with a recipe for a simple chocolate snacking cake.
Sounds delicious. And Patrick Stone from the Emmanuel Baptist Church stopping by to tell us all about the 11th annual Let Freedom Ring event. That's going to wrap it up for us for now, though. We will be back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.